So we're starting off tonight with us checking out White Noise from 2005, in which an architect loses his wife and deeply misses her, of course, and tries to reconnect with her via voices from beyond the grave with some equipment that is, supposedly captures ghosts and talking and stuff. And then it sort of leads into him being able to save people from potential death and some evil ghosts and shenanigans and such going on. And what probably makes it most interesting is that the main character, Architect, is played by Michael Keaton, who most people would probably recognize from the classic Batman movie. Aside from Keaton, though, I feel like there's not really a whole lot of necessarily interesting things in this movie. It's a decently made movie. It looks nice. Personally, I didn't find a lot of it necessarily gripping. But I am sort of curious what you thought about this one because I don't know. To me, this seems like aside from the whole EVP thing, a somewhat forgettable movie. But what's your take on it?
Yeah. Well, my take is pretty much your take. I first saw this one in the theaters, and I sort of have some memories of this one because when I saw it in the theaters, and yeah, it was okay. Nothing, nothing great, nothing bad either, but like you said, not all that gripping, and I think it was like only a few weeks later I ended up getting a whole bunch of copies for free from the studio. Only a few weeks later on DVD, so um, obviously I gave a bunch of those away, kept one for myself just so I could watch it again at some point. And yeah, that's the same copy I used to watch this now, roughly, 15 years later. So that was nice. Came in handy, I guess.
Yeah, if it makes you think about it, I actually paid like $3 for it. So
Wow, that's cool. But yeah, I think pretty much everything he said was quite spot on. Michael Keaton, I like Michael Keaton ever since Batman because Batman, the first Michael Keaton Batman movie, was the first movie I ever saw in theaters. So, I've got this attachment, I guess, to that particular actor. And, his performance isn't anything, to really throw a big celebration about, but he puts in a serviceable performance. We'll put it at that. Like it just feels like a generic movie for supernatural, whether it's EVP or ghosts or whatever it is. It just doesn't feel like it gets or it's special in any way. It's got a couple of jumpy moments, but that's not really enough to do anything for me, I guess.
yeah, I think my favorite has to be like that final second scene where the woman just looks to the side and then it's like something scary happens. It's great stuff. I guess that's one of my main problems with this movie. It was obviously made for a PG-13 audience, which doesn't need to be a bad thing. But this one, it felt somewhat restricted in a very generic sense. There's not much here that is like some big move for the genre, and it's not really even enough here to make it all that interesting. I suspect part of the problem with the whole idea of making more EVP movies is a guy watching screens and listening to audio tapes isn't always the most enthralling of times.
Yeah. I like the idea of bad people trying to communicate from the other side, as he's trying to obviously reach his wife or whoever, but yeah, it just. I also didn't really like the turn that it takes where, okay, he's more or less seeing visions of things that haven't happened yet. I thought it would have been better had it just gone in the direction of, okay, he's trying to reach his wife and somehow he's woken up these bad spirits or whatever, and I guess go from there, but seems to go into some sort of psychic type route, which I didn't
Yeah,
care for.
it sort of reminded me of the Dad Zone a little, actually.
Yeah.
I will say, while I did like love the ending, I did like the setting, a very dilapidated, I think factory type thing. the surround the walls are outstanding with some floor, but like there's a giant hole through the middle and just raining into the building. I thought it was pretty cool looking, and I can't imagine that type of thing existing in, like, you can think of the more industrial and mostly forgotten cities. So that's, I don't know, it's just cool setting. I just did it, love the ending.
Hmm. Plus, I don't know why in all these types of movies, like everyone has these like upscale jobs and homes and like okay, so the lead character is this architect working for this pretty big company, and his wife is a, fucking author, or some sort of popular author. I mean, why can't they just be normal people? Like, why can't she be a hairdresser and he's a cashier at Walmart or something? I mean, why do they have to have these big fancy jobs and homes? And
Well, maybe it's part of the fantasy of just the average person watching. Hey, I can be as successful as that guy. This brings more enjoyment to the movie, and it shows that even those with money have problems.
yeah, well, EVP can't happen for just the average Joe.
Well,
It's only for that 1%.
yeah, I was going to say, speaking of the average Joe, the one thing I think, legitimately enjoy about the movie was the character of Raymond Price, who's sort of like this overweight guy who is the guy who's catching a lot of these EVP things. And he's played by some actor named Ian McNeice, who's not an actor I know, but I did enjoy his, somewhat brief performance here. I was thinking early on in the first moment that there might be some type of plot twist where he's somehow behind some of this stuff, but he turns out to be a pretty nice character, and I enjoyed his brief time there.
I can't remember if it was explained in the movie or not, and this might segue to another point just about EVP in general, but like I'm not 100% convinced how he could have known that it's his wife, communicating, because you can't really make out much of what anyone says from these EVP sessions. Like, what you just saw, okay, someone died on the news recently, and you just go, well, it's a woman, it's probably this person.
Well, I guess two possible solutions. One, obviously, this is like a famous, at least the wife is decently well known, and the guy is important enough to maybe be recognizable, so they might get more attention than usual. And also, the guy's been doing this for God, like, what, 15, 20 years? So I'm sure if anybody can hear voices in this white noise and static, it would be him.
Yeah, well, it's just based on the recordings they played. Like, I couldn't really pick up on anything that made
it's also,
it clear
I think,
that
based on a lot of probably wishful thinking.
Yeah, which takes me into what I was about to say about EVP, is that, I mean, my general thoughts on EVP itself is that I think people just hear what they want to hear and see what they want to see. It's probably just picking up background noise from like a local radio station or TV station or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about EVP personally. It's not like I've done a bunch of research, but as far as I can tell, there's not much actual science backing the findings, so I'm probably not going to take it seriously until then.
Yeah.
Plus, I have to say, I think it might be annoying trying to communicate with your deceased loved ones and only getting like a vague sentence in return. Like, I don't know, that wouldn't be satisfactory to me.
There was a a moment in the movie that kind of, wow, made me chuckle, I guess. When Michael Keaton's got all these TVs that he's setting up, and his son is saying something like, why we got so many TVs? And he's like, oh, well, so you can watch your favorite show and I can watch my favorite show. And immediately his kid gives him the most stankiest look. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And then he just goes back to playing with his toy or whatever. That was beautiful, I guess.
Yes. So I think White Noise it's an okay movie. It's maybe entertaining for the first time around. I feel like a lot of people forget it exists, though. I must never hear anybody talking about this one, and I think there's good reason for that. I mean, if you're like a big Michael Keaton fan, it might be worth checking out. Or if you like generic ghost movies, hey, this movie's got you, homeboy. But it's just not a great movie. It's not particularly memorable. And though I don't think it's necessarily horrible, it's not a movie I can see myself going back to anytime soon. So I'm going to go with a 5.5 out of 10, and I guess I'll be generous and round up to a 6.
Yeah, so I'm also going with a 6 out of 10 for this one, which is around my average rating for movies, so it's okay. It's nothing special one way or the other. Michael Keaton helps it out a little bit, just because I usually enjoy other movies with Michael Keaton in them, so at least that kept my attention for the most part. But yeah, it's not a movie that... I mean, I've had that DVD for 15 years. I've maybe watched it now second time.
Oh god.
Yeah, so it's not a movie I'm pulling out watching very often.
Yeah, it's not particularly inspiring.
Yeah, I'm kind of... Well, I don't know if I'm surprised, but the fact that there's a sequel, I mean, I guess it did okay money. No, I haven't seen the sequel, but I'm going to guess it's more of the same, just with a different lead actor.
Yeah, only without Michael Keaton, I can only imagine it would make it so much more lukewarm.
Yeah.